At Kroger, we believe in higher standards for fresh. So we do up to a 27-point inspection on our produce. Like for oranges, we check for scarring and sunburn, allowing only the best produce to reach our shelves. Because when it comes
What would I do if I had more time?
Wow. If I had more time, I'd call my grandma back. I miss her.
I'd go straight to the studio and dance my little heart out.
I would take up the guitar again because I have always wanted to be a rock star.
I would love to spend more time laughing.
I'd empower women to move.
I would do more of what I want to do and less of what I have to do.
If I had more time, I'd give it all to her.
If I had more time.
If I had more time.
If I had more time.
In 2008, at the age of 37, I suffered a heart attack, and I never saw it coming.
At 10, I was diagnosed with dilated cardiomyopathy, and at 22, I had a heart transplant.
Thanks to research funded by the American Heart Association,
So many of us have been given more time
with our families, more time with our dreams, and more time to accomplish the things that cardiovascular disease tried to take from us.
and we're not going anywhere.
What would I do if I
Good morning, everyone. My name is Teresa Clay. I am Danette Navajo from Fort Defiance, Arizona. I currently live and work in Albuquerque with the Indian Health Service Health Promotion and Disease Prevention Program, and have been blessed to serve on the planning committee of this significant event for the past 9 years. And I know a lot of you have been at each event throughout the year, so thank you again for joining us today. It is my honor to welcome you to the 9th annual Go Red for Native Women Heart Health Summit with the theme of Drum to the Beat of a Healthy Heart. I hope you all enjoy the Go Red for Native Women digital experience. If we can start off by saying hello to each other in the chat, please type your name, where you are joining us from, and one thing you will do to take care of your heart today. For example, my name is Teresa. I'm calling in from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And one thing I will do to take care of my heart today is run with my dogs. And it's something that I do and enjoy every morning. So this is the most important place you could be this morning, because it could save your life and the lives of those you love and even those around you. So I see some of you saying that you're going to walk, do yoga, you're going to take care of your heart by running 4 miles. So thank you all for putting your name, where you're calling in from, and something you will do today to take care of your heart. We really appreciate it. On behalf of the American Heart Association, we are so thrilled that you are joining us today. We are honored to have Raynette Chimini from the Pueblo of Zuni offer the opening blessing. She is Dogwood Crow Clan and born into the Deer Clan. She has worked with the Indian Health Service Zuni Comprehensive Health Center for 20 years and currently as a public health nurse. Raynette, welcome to the virtual stage.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to say the opening prayer. Don't know an online kibena adehepte. Don't know lashi kibena adehepte. Don't know any bishlene kibena adehepte. Akes look at what Kasamut Gasona. Ake look at what Kasamut Don Ayalana. Akes on debts at Makokra again. Like Angonde. Yamana Yanaka. Yam Lashika. Yam Kashima. Yam Doshanane. Yam Utenane. Yam Saunikit at McQueen. Dem Lateni hello in Penanaka. Yam ho it down naketa hona ansamana those take on the Shayanik channel to only as a coxi at the Hawanayag and a bill. Elakwa. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Raynette. And now I would like to introduce you all to a very special MC who will lead us through the rest of the virtual experience today. She is a very familiar face to many New Mexicans, as well as those who have attended our past Go Red for Native Women events. Royal Day is a television news anchor with more than 20 years of experience in journalism. She worked for 3 different television stations and written for numerous newspapers, including the Miami Herald. Currently, she is the morning anchor at KOA TV, a place she's worked for over 13 years. During her time at KOA TV, she's won numerous awards, including 3 Emmys. She has a bachelor's degree in journalism from the University of Minnesota, and she is an enrolled member of the San Ildefonso Pueblo. Royal lives in Albuquerque with her husband and 2 young children. Royal, welcome to the virtual stage.
Thank you, Teresa. It is so awesome to be here with you guys this morning.
or this afternoon into the afternoon. I just want to start by saying I'm logging in from Albuquerque, and something that I'm going to do to help with my heart health is just take a few moments to breathe. I work in a very fast-paced, stressful environment. I also have 2 little kids, and sometimes it's hard to find moments of peace, but I want to squeeze more of those in. I think a couple weeks ago I did that. I went into our pantry and just stayed in there for a little bit alone and drank some water and just had a moment of peace. So that's my goal, to help with heart health. I am so honored to be emceeing this event once again. This is such an important issue. And every year when I do this, I'm always taken back by the stories of women who have had heart attacks, because they often tell the same types of stories, that they did not realize that they were having a heart attack because the signs can be so subtle. So this has really taught me a lot. It's taught me this very important lesson of listening to our bodies. I feel like as women, we just don't do that enough, because we're taking care of our spouses, our children, our parents, elders in the community. We put their needs above our own, and sometimes just shrug off the signs our bodies are telling us that we need to take better care of ourselves. And I'm always just surprised and shocked to learn how subtle the signs of a heart attack can be. So my wish is that we all leave here today with some information that may save a life of a loved one, or even save our own life. So this is going to be a great event. Again, I'm so excited to be here with you today. Heart disease is the #1 killer of women, and the numbers are even higher for Native American women. In fact, Native American women develop heart disease about 10 years earlier than non-Hispanic white women. 56% of Native women know that heart disease is their greatest health risk, and we need your help spreading the awareness to the other 44% of Native women. Today, we are celebrating our 9th annual Go Red for Native American Women Heart Health Summit. This event was created by the American Heart Association and partners across our states. We just want to take a moment to say thank you to all of our sponsors for helping to put on this event. So thank you to the University of New Mexico Health, Western Sky Community Health, Native Health Initiative, Indian Health Service Albuquerque area, KOAT, Action 7 News, and of course, the amazing planning committee members. We appreciate all of your time and work that you've put into this event. Go Red for Women is a national campaign started by the American Heart Association, designed to raise women's awareness that heart disease is the #1 health risk that we face. Native American women are at an even greater risk of cardiovascular disease due to the higher rates of high blood pressure, obesity, and diabetes. Heart disease kills 1 woman every 80 seconds, causing 1 in 3 deaths every year. Go Red for Women was developed to bring attention and research dollars to a neglected area, women's heart health. Heart disease, not cancer, is the #1 killer of women. Heart disease kills more women than all forms of cancer combined. But there is some good news in this fight. The good news is that we can manage our risk factors for heart disease and stroke by living a heart healthy lifestyle. And because this is all about health and wellness, we do not want you to be sitting the entire afternoon that we are together. So today we have a special activity break presented by Reiko Yazi, who will guide us in a few movement activities and share some activity and wellness resources. So Reiko is the Tribal Community Health Worker, Public Health Preparedness Program Coordinator with the Albuquerque Area Indian Health Board, Albuquerque Area Southwest Tribal Epidemiology Center. So Reiko, take it away. Thank you so much, Reiko. That was awesome. I love working out to music. There's a salsa class that I like to take at Define Fitness, and you're working out and getting this awesome workout and don't even realize it. So thank you, Reiko. Appreciate that. Here with us today to speak about a very important part of taking care of our heart, mind, and ourselves is Dr. Melissa Begay. Melissa Begay was raised in the Navajo Nation. She is Towering House Clan born for Black Streak through Forest, Melissa completed undergraduate studies at Stanford University and received her MD from the University of New Mexico School of Medicine. She completed her internship and residency in internal medicine and a fellowship in sleep medicine at UNM Health Sciences. Dr. Begay practices at the New Mexico VA Sleep Center and is an assistant professor in the UNM Department of Pulmonology, Critical Care, and Sleep Medicine. She is a board member of the Association of American Indian Physicians. Please welcome Dr. Melissa Begay. If you have any questions for Dr. Begay, please type them in the chat and we will get to them after her presentation.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. Thank you for that introduction. So my name is Melissa Begay, and I'm a sleep physician with the New Mexico VA Hospital and UNM Hospital, where I am also an assistant professor. And so today I'm going to talk about a very important topic and one of my most favorite topics, optimizing sleep for cardiovascular health. So before we begin, take a few seconds to just think about your own sleep and how well do you think you sleep? So humans spend 1/3 of their lives sleeping. And how well do you sleep? Think about this. We'll come back to it at the end. So first, why is sleep important? Sleep is important for so many reasons. Restoration and recovery for the body and brain, strengthening our immune defenses as we're still battling COVID. This is so important. Brain growth and development from a young to old age. And we also do central nervous system repair. We maintain normal body and hormonal functions during sleep. And sleep is so important for learning and consolidation of our very important memories and daily experiences. So we'll spend a brief moment on sleep. I promise there's not a quiz, but what is sleep? What is the science of sleep? So sleep is a very active state. It is not inactive. You'll see a picture here, which we call a sleep hypnogram, which is just a painting of somebody sleeping throughout the night. And you'll see that you go from awake to various stages of sleep all throughout the night in a beautiful cycle, beautiful pattern. And there are various stages of sleep. You may have heard this. You have light sleep, deep sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. And what happens is when we go to sleep, we oscillate and go through these various stages throughout the night. And if you ever were to study sleep or undergo a sleep study, you'll find that there are characteristic brain waves throughout the night that define each stage of this sleep. So it's very active, and these are some of the most beautiful waves that I see, but these are sleep waves. And what these are electrical recordings taken from the brain that show brain waves throughout the night that define each stage. So you have these at the top, alpha waves, which are the characteristic waves of wake. And then you see that the waves change in size and frequency and activity. And then you have these sleep spindles, which I tell my students sometimes look like caterpillars, where you have these beautiful spindles in stage 2 of sleep. You have big waves, big vertex waves. And then you have the deep sleep at the very bottom, which looks very much like wake. So this is a very active process that occurs in each one of us each night. So what happens when you don't have good sleep? Many of you, I'm sure, had a restless night, either taking care of a child or you've had worries, perhaps about COVID. And what happens when you don't sleep? You awake the next day and you don't feel that joy, that sense of abundance. You feel tired. But there's also something very important, especially for us as Native women, to think about how our poor sleep can actually lead to some devastating chronic medical issues. And sleep is very, it's sometimes very finicky, it's fragile. It can be easily disrupted by the many things that we have to go through in our lives. Perhaps there are things in our environment, in our neighborhood, that may contribute to poor sleep. And it has found that when we study Native and Indigenous populations, that there are many things that can contribute to poor sleep, such as an unsafe environment, Perhaps one is feeling racial discrimination. Perhaps we have these psychosocial stressors. Maybe we have to work a night shift. We can't get enough sleep. Maybe we have too many things to do. We can't prioritize sleep. But this poor sleep can have a great effect on our health, our sense of wellness through our diet. Poor sleep can affect our blood pressure, can affect our ability to have glucose intolerance, can have effect on whether we are feeling energetic enough to perform physical activity. And these things, if we do not take care of them, can lead to the things we talk about, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, obesity. And this can set up to have place somebody at risk for cardiovascular disease. So poor sleep, what can we do about it? And why does this happen? So briefly, sleep apnea is something that I'm very passionate about. You may know somebody with sleep apnea. They snore, they stop breathing at night, they're very tired, even though they get a lot of sleep. And sometimes people have to have a CPAP machine with a mask if they wear at night. But the sleep apnea, what it is basically you have obstruction in the back of the airway, what we call the posterior pharynx, the back of the throat. When this closes at night because of apnea, stops in breathing, what happens is that you prevent oxygen from getting to your lungs, your heart, and your brain. We call this hypoxia. We also have vascular inflammation, where the blood vessel may become injured. What we call the lining of the blood vessel, the endothelium, may become injured. We have this sympathetic overactivity. You may have heard of the flight or fight response, but the sympathetic system gets overactivated. And at night, we also have things that need to occur, such as blood pressure needs to come down at night. And when we lose this ability, this can be a nidus for actually having some of these ill effects of cardiovascular issues. So obstructive sleep apnea, what we have found through many studies and research is that it is independently associated with metabolic disease. So these cardiovascular risk factors that you're learning about today. And there was a great study of about 6,000 adults called the Sleep Heart Health Study, which showed that short sleep time, less than 6 hours, is associated with a 1.5 to 2.5 times higher risk for diabetes. Also places you at high risk for high blood pressure when you have this very severe sleep apnea. And many committees, especially the JNC, have found that high blood pressure identified sleep apnea as an independent and treatable cause of high blood pressure. So we can do something about this. Also, sleep apnea, it is also related to stroke and cardiac arrhythmias, where sleep apnea, if you have it and it's untreated, can be associated with atrial fibrillation, irregular heartbeat of the heart, and other cardiac arrhythmias such as ventricular ectopy and ventricular tachycardia, where the heart is beating too fast and too abnormally. This can also set up abnormal, what we call coagulation, clotting, where the little platelets inside your blood can get stick together. They're in a low oxygen state, and this can place somebody at risk for stroke. The good news is that when you get evaluated by a sleep physician, such as myself, we can evaluate you. If you have sleep apnea, we can treat it. And we treat it with a therapy called CPAP, continuous positive airway pressure, that can reduce high blood pressure and also reduce some of this risk of these bad cardiac outcomes. So for the rest of the 7 minutes we have, what can we do to optimize sleep? What can I do today? What can we do? Think about this. Think about, I want you to imagine where you sleep. What does your bed look like? What is the light like in your room? Is it light, dark? What is the noise level? What is the temperature? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel safe? So how much sleep do I need? We learn a lot about sleep by studying animals. And we have found that we all have a molecular basis for what we call circadian rhythm. When we sense a 24-hour cycle in the day, there are key features that let us know when it is time to be awake and when it is time to go to sleep. And what's fascinating is that we have found these clock genes, circadian clock genes, on our chromosomes that actually tell us when to go to sleep. And they are highly regulated by internal clock genes and external factors such as light and activities we do during the day. And we have also found that there are some key differences that's based on our genetics. There's period genes where we have found that we have short sleepers and long sleepers. You may have heard the term early birds and night owls. Which one are you? But the key thing is most adults require between 7 and 9 hours of sleep. So let's talk about optimizing sleep, not only for cardiovascular health, but also to empower ourselves each day to be full of energy, to get through the day, to do the things we need to do. So I tell my patients, you need to prioritize sleep as part of your overall wellness. It's just as important as physical activity and diet. So know your sleep needs. How do you do this? How do you determine your sleep needs? Well, it's complicated, but really some of it is internal. You can't help if you're an early bird or a night owl. So some of it is determined by genetics. Also, it's very likely if you know your parents and your family history, how do they sleep? How many hours do they sleep? That could easily be transferred to you. But what we need to do is set yourself up for sleep success. So it's very important to develop a routine and a comfortable environment. So make sure that your bedroom is cool and dark. We have found that we sleep better in a cool environment. Also, we need to, with the invention of the light bulb, our world vastly changed. We are able to stay up later, do work later. And, many times this is a good thing, but it can also be a challenge to decrease the amount of blue light that we see, because the blue light can inhibit molecules and hormones called melatonin, which promotes continuous good sleep. So decrease blue light, put down your phone, turn off the TV 1 to 2 hours before bedtime. And also, we must maintain a consistent sleep schedule. Many times I had patients, they can't sleep. Doc, I can't sleep. Well, let's talk about this. When do you go to sleep? When do you wake up? It's amazing how many people don't have a consistent sleep schedule, which means a regular bedtime, a regular wake time, even on vacation and days off. If you don't know how much sleep you need, how many hours, again, 7 to 9 hours, I tell my patients when you go on vacation, don't have an alarm, don't have excess alcohol, caffeine, nicotine. And on about the 3rd day of being on vacation, you'll probably find your natural wake time and bedtime. So think about this. Again, avoid stimulants, caffeine, alcohol, nicotine, late night eating, especially before bedtime. These, could make you fall asleep easier, but they'll disrupt those sleep stages, disrupt those sleep patterns. Maintain a regular exercise. And then also, if you think you may have a problem that is more severe, you think you may have sleep apnea, where you're snoring, you're sleeping, but you're just not waking up energetic. Maybe somebody has said, hey, you snore too much at night, you stop breathing in sleep. Please ask your doctor to screen you for sleep apnea. So in the end, we should all strive to get good sleep. I hope I provided you a few tips today that you can go home and think about and start to plan. And we'll stop here for any questions.
Okay, so Dr. Begay, I think we see one really great question, which I think is interesting. So Cheryl is asking, I take melatonin every other night. Is that good for my body over a long period of time? I see these gummies and everything in Target, Walmart. So I think this is a great question.
Sure. So a little bit about melatonin. So melatonin is a hormone that our body makes, and it's secreted from the area of the brain called the pineal gland. But what it does is it basically helps us to restore a consistent pattern, our circadian rhythm. So it's a helper. Melatonin can be bought in a grocery store. It is considered a vitamin, so you could find it at like CVS or vitamin store. And what I tell my patients is that really any medication that you're taking for a long time needs to be discussed with your physician. But melatonin can be beneficial in a few key areas, such as jet lag. You know, if you're traveling a lot, going across time zones, melatonin can be used there. Melatonin can be used in shift work if you're trying to restore your natural rhythm. And really, what I tell my patients is you should take a very low dose. So by low dose, I mean less than 1 milligram. I know Costco sells like 5-10 milligrams of melatonin. And it shouldn't be used every single night, but I think it should be used as a part of a plan to help you when you're trying to improve your sleep. But I would say if it's something that you're thinking you need to take every day, then you should talk to your primary care provider to see if there's something else going on that makes you want to take that melatonin every day.
Okay, so our next question is from Stephanie. She asked, do we need to sleep in total quietness and darkness, or is it all right to have the TV on when you sleep?
So this is a great question. Our circadian rhythm is very unique. It's also very sensitive. So they have done studies where they show how sensitive our brain is to that sunlight. So it's good practice to wake up and to open the curtains and have some sunlight first thing in the morning. And our bodies, through time have evolved to see that sunlight, what we call blue light. It's a certain nanometer, certain wavelength of light. And even the TV, it emits a blue screen. That TV can perhaps in some ways trick your brain that the sun is coming up, and it can be sending signals to you as you're sleeping, because there are light sensors everywhere in our body. And I tell my patients the TV, you should turn it off 2 hours before bed, should not be on when you're sleeping. That's to optimize your sleep.
Okay, our next question, CBD gummies, are those helpful to get you to sleep better?
So, this is an upcoming issue. It's going to be a thing, right? In our state soon, legislatively. So my answer is, I don't know. There are not any long-term studies that have studied the effect on CBD on sleep. So I am afraid I cannot answer that.
This question I find especially interesting to me because it's about power naps. Are they helpful midday when you feel you need to recharge? So I go to bed really early, so I use these naps during the day to help me feel a little bit better. So this is a good question.
Yes, it's a great question. Who loves to nap? I find that, so I give a talk to medical students and residents at the University of New Mexico. These are doctors in training who have to do night shift, work long hours, and we talk about naps. So naps are a part of that 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And what I tell patients is that you may have heard of power naps, but keep the naps short. So keep them about 20 minutes is the ideal nap time. And the reason is this: you remember that picture of the sleep cycle that I showed you, when we go through various cycles. If your nap is too long, above 60 to 90 minutes, you're taking a 2-hour nap, then you mess up that cycle basically, and you start to steal what we call the sleep inertia for your sleep that night. And that can put you basically in a cycle of not being sleepy at night. So naps are good, but keep them short.
Okay, probably our last question here. Is there something you can do to turn your brain off from thinking so much at bedtime? Any mind exercises to distract your brain to get to sleep?
Sure. So this is a part of setting up the sleep routine. So one exercise that I like is breathing exercise. Breathing exercise before you go to bed. So you can easily find this under a podcast, or you can look it up on YouTube, but practice on your breathing before sleep. That can calm your brain and get you ready to get a good night's rest.
Great. Well, thank you, Dr. Begay. That's such good information. A lot of people are asking where they can find your presentation online. So maybe you can, or your PowerPoint, go into the message box and kind of let people know where they can find more information, because I think a lot of people are really interested in this. Oops, I'm trying to get my video back on, but thank you so much. Okay, so I think we're gonna go back to Reiko here. I'm trying to get my camera pulled up. There we go. Okay, we're gonna do another activity break. Reiko's gonna do her thing for us once again. Appreciate it. I didn't realize our hearts were so strong. That was like incredible to see. All right, next we have two young women who are inspirational leaders working to address health inequities through loving service for Indigenous youth and communities. So first we have Chenoa Scipio, Navajo and Santa Clara Pueblo. Chenoa is a fourth-year undergraduate student at the University of New Mexico, double majoring in population health and Native American studies. She is a second semester intern with Native Health Initiative, working in the Breath Tradition, Not Addiction, Healers of Tomorrow, and Running Medicine programs. We also have Jules McCabe, Navajo, from a very small community on the Navajo reservation called Greasewood Springs, Arizona. Jules is a graduate of the University of New Mexico with a Bachelor of Science degree in population health with a minor in psychology. She also works with the Native Health Initiative and is excited to continue to showcase loving service through her work. So please welcome to the virtual stage, Chenoa and Jules.
Hello, everyone. Let me just pull up the presentation here. Okay, so before we begin, I would just like to take a second just to introduce myself in Navajo. Sheesh no sibio yenishia bit athni nishland on nakai fijini bashish jean. Ashi henashi chade on nakai fijini dashinale. Nashiri de nasha akot egwe de neatsani nishle. And I will let Jules introduce herself as well.
Yad she Jules McCabe nisha kisluchini nishla nakai bashish chin tkabaha dasha che dorichini dashanale out ego dene asanishla. Hello everyone, my name is Jules McCabe and Chenoa and here are here on behalf of the Native Health Initiative.
Yes, and then also before we begin, I would just like to point out that Breathe Tradition Not Addiction is a program by NHI, but it's also the title of our presentation today. So just quickly before we begin, as like a warm-up exercise, I just wanted to know what you all know about traditional tobacco, and maybe just put it in the chat or in the Q&A, just any general facts, just really like, what do you know about traditional tobacco? And then oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say in the chat we have used for prayers. Women are not allowed to smoke it. Someone here uses traditional tobacco and also harvests it. It's used for ceremonial purpose. Someone said it's good. Another said, I understand that traditional smoking was connected for healing. And then we also have powerful with prayer. And I was told to be careful what you ask for. Wow, there's a lot coming in the chat.
Yeah, I see just the numbers popping up. Okay, so before we start to talk about traditional tobacco, I had compiled just some stats here. And I know that Royal was talking earlier about some stats that specifically talk about like Native women and not using tobacco, but Native women and heart health. And so these are just some of the statistics that I found that are pretty recent. They were just released in September of 2021. And some things that I found that were really interesting where the almost 21% of New Mexico adults who smoke cigarettes are smoking at least one or more packs a day. And then the 48% of current tobacco users in New Mexico had increased their tobacco use during the COVID-19 pandemic. And that kind of shows really I guess the impact that commercial tobacco has on New Mexico adults. So just really generally, traditional tobacco, again, like some of the answers in the chat said, it is used for ceremony, storytelling, healing, problem solving, and then to increase your spiritual well-being. But I also wanted to point out that not all traditional tobacco plants are Nicotiana plants. And so that just means that not all of these plants contain natural nicotine, which is found abundantly in commercial tobacco products. And that is really what is like the addictive chemical or the addictive part of like using commercial tobacco. And not all traditional tobacco plants are smoked or inhaled. And traditional tobacco plants are found growing in nature. So they're not like, yes, they can be found like in stores or, they can be bought, but generally these plants are found, like outside in nature. Okay, and then just some like general overview of what is traditional tobacco versus commercial tobacco. And again, like not all of these facts are I would say they're not like really general. I guess they are generalized, but they're not like, okay, so what I'm trying to say is that it really depends, I guess, like where you are, again, like what tribe you come from, and then what plants you do consider traditional. But very briefly, they do need water, air, heat, and earths, which are the four life elements, as opposed to like using all of these like chemicals, nicotine, tar, carbon monoxide, and other like deadly chemicals that are found in traditional or commercial tobacco. And again, traditional tobacco is grown in secluded or sacred areas. They are not genetically changed. They're not manufactured and cultivated in these big like warehouses type of things. And again, there's no added chemicals, and they are burned for really like spiritual well-being. They're not burned for recreational use. And that just goes back to like inhaling them or smoking them. They're really used to like for blessings. And then again, just real quickly in the chat, can you name any commercial tobacco products, or can you name any traditional tobacco plants? And just again, real briefly, while those answers are coming in the chat, commercial tobacco products include anything from like cigarettes, cigars, to the smokeless tobacco. So like chew, Skull is like a really big name brand, and also like vape pens or mods, these electronic nicotine delivery systems. They're called ENDS. So yeah, and as we get into the traditional tobacco plants, I'll go ahead and pass it off to Jules to talk about some of them.
All right, so first, we're just going to share a few examples. So this first one here, we have mountain tobacco. In Navajo, it's called Zithnatwo, or it's like white tip or mountain smoke. This is a core of all tobaccos, and it is used for purification, protection, and it can also be blended with other tobacco plants. Next, we have sagebrush. This is also used for purification, headache relief. It was also used during childbirth or indigestion and even in constipation. And then this is glow mallow. It's also called azetine. It's also known as like a gummy medicine. This can be used for toothaches, to relieve toothaches. And then here we also have some of our native plants known as tobacco. Like Shanoa shared earlier, the names can be different depending on what area they're found in. So just the few examples of some that I'm sure that we know are sunflower, lavender, sweetgrass, and white sage.
Yeah, and again, not all of these native plants contain nicotine, but it's also important to remember that whether it is traditional tobacco or commercial tobacco, there are some addictive characteristics of plants. And so we just wanted to share real quickly some resources that you're able to use, you or your family members, whoever really needs the support right now. And these are very specific to New Mexico. So we have NUPAC NM, which is where I found the statistics from earlier, which is the Nicotine Use Prevention and Control Program from the state of New Mexico. There's NMACT, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, and Smoke Free Signals, who all offer free resources for communities, for individuals to use. And, I would say just take advantage of these opportunities that you have here. And then another resource that we have between Jules and I is Native Health Initiative. And so I'll let Jules go ahead and talk about a couple of the programs that we have at NHI.
Right, so these are our 6 programs with NHI. So first we have Breathe Tradition, Not Addiction, which you've learned a little bit about here today. This is health education on traditional tobacco versus commercial tobacco. We have a whole team dedicated to BTNA, where we do a lot of interactive work and sharing our education on traditional tobacco. Next, we have Indigenizing Health. This is our informative platform to learn more about Indigenous health and culture and how the two are related. We also have our Healers of Tomorrow program, which is an 8-month-long mentorship program, which explores health careers, also college preparation, and preparing for leadership skills for high school students. Next, we have Running Medicine, which is our running walking group, which teaches and we utilize movement as medicine. Shanoa is actually one of our RM leaders. Next, we have our community asset mapping. We do different sessions, and this is all about identifying and amplifying our strengths, assets, and resources to improve health. And then lastly, we have some scholarships and grants. Here I've listed Education and Ceremony, Healing Directions Micro Grant, and Youth Leading the Way Project Grant. You can find more information about this on our website. And the next thing that we wanted to talk about was, of course, loving service. We always love to share the work that we do with NHI, and we always like to explain what we do through loving service. And we're here to work with our community, and what better way to do that than not with love. So here are some of our upcoming events. On the left, you will see our Running Medicine schedule for the remainder of this month. I believe our season does start in March. And then next we have our Indigenous Immersion. Our applications are open now, and this is a great way to learn more about Indigenous health, Indigenous culture. And yeah, so if you'd like more information, you can reach us here. I've listed our emails, and then Shanoa will also share our contact information here in a little bit. And then I will also provide in the chat a link to join our listserv if you'd like to hear more about NHI and what we do.
Right. Thank you so much for that awesome presentation. Okay, so coming up next, we have an exciting presentation on how to cook a heart-healthy meal. But first, we want to give you just a quick 5-minute break just to stand up and stretch and practice some of those moves that Reiko showed us. Then come back and join us for a delicious and healthy cooking demonstration. So we'll see you in about 5 minutes. All right, welcome back. I hope you guys had a nice break. I am so excited about our last presenters because it's so important that we eat right and take care of our bodies with heart-healthy foods. And these chefs know how to make healthy food delicious, which is a really important part of the equation, right? So joining us again this year, we have Dr. Lois Ellen Frank and Chef Walter Whitewater. Dr. Frank is a Santa Fe-based chef, a native foods historian, culinary anthropologist, educator, James Beard Award-winning cookbook author, photographer, and organic gardener. She is the chef and owner of Red Mesa Cuisine, a catering company specializing in Indigenous Native American cuisine and cultural education with a modern twist, where she cooks with Native American chef Walter Whitewater. Their mission is to feed the body and nurture the soul. Dr. Frank has spent many years documenting and working with foods of Native American communities in the Southwest, culminating in her James Beard Award-winning cookbook,
Foods of the Southwest Indian Nations. Dr. Frank works with the Physicians Committee on a program called The Power to Heal Diabetes, Food for Life in Indian Country, that uses the ancestral Native American diet for health and wellness in Native communities. She is a cooking instructor at the Santa Fe School of Cooking and an adjunct professor at the Institute of American Indian Arts, where she teaches Native students from tribal communities all over the Americas about indigenous concepts of Native American foods and how to prepare healthy Native American dishes for health and wellness, and uses the metaphor that food is our medicine and the key to future health and wellness is Native communities. In 2020, she was the recipient of the Local Hero Oya Award, which recognizes an exceptional individual for the work they do to create healthy, innovative, vibrant, and resilient local sustainable food systems in New Mexico. Walter Whitewater is a chef at Red Mesa Cuisine and has appeared on numerous Food Network cooking TV shows featuring foods of the Southwest. Chef Whitewater worked on the James Beard Award-winning cookbook, Foods of the Southwest Indian Nations, with Chef Frank, and traveled with Chef Frank as part of the U.S. State Department and Consulate General's culinary diplomacy program to Ukraine, the United Kingdom, and Russia, where the two chefs promoted indigenous foods of the Americas through the culinary arts. Chef Whitewater was the first Native American chef to cook at the James Beard House in New York City. He won the James Lewis Award for his work as a Native chef. He is very active on using ancestral Native American foods for health and wellness in Native American communities. And thanks to the support of Western Sky Community Care, a longtime supporter of the American Health Association New Mexico, we are pleased to welcome chefs, Dr. Lois Ellen Frank and Walter Whitewater. So if you have some questions for the chefs, of course, please type those in the chat and we will get to them after their presentation.
Thank you. We're just so honored to be here. We're going to do two recipes, which we will upload and you'll all have access to. My ancestral heritage is I am Northern European and Native American from Kiowa on my mom's side, and I am Sephardic and Ashkenazi on my dad's side. And today we're going to do a pinto bean spread. And you can see we have some, Walter's going to be filming. And then after Walter films, I am going to film him and he's going to do the bread. We're going to do a no fry bread. But first I want to do this very easy bean spread. It's really easy. You can use any kind of canned beans. Right here we have kidney beans, pinto beans. We're going to do pinto today because pinto is a very northern New Mexican bean. It's readily accessible. You can make your own beans or you can use a can. You could also use a white kidney bean, a white northern bean. This is a garbanzo bean or a black bean. So any kind of bean and different flavors. And we're going to use both what we would call the ancestral or pre-contact foods with a little bit of that European influence, because I am going to add a little bit of lemon we're going to do that. So the first thing I want to show you is that this is what we call blackened garlic. And blackened garlic is just garlic cloves where we've peeled the outer side off. And what we've done in a dry cast iron pan is just blackened, and that softens the garlic. I don't know, some of you maybe you've eaten garlic and you when you sweat, you permeate and you smell like garlic. So this just softens that a little, and it's really good for the flavor. So the first thing I'm going to do, and for this, we're going to use a food processor. So I'm going to take some of that blackened garlic, and I'm going to add my canned beans. And I want you just to note, well, I have this little tool here, but we're going to take the bean juice out. And one of the things that you have to remember with canned beans is that they add salt. So what we want to do is just take a little bit of water and rinse off that salt. We want to control our salt intake and just use the beans. So rinsing is a really good way to get that salt off. And these beans actually are just beans. If you look at the ingredients, I love this. What is in this? Just organic pinto beans, water, and sea salt. So now we've taken that salt off, and I'm gonna be using 2 cans of beans and a tablespoon of garlic. And I've already prepared my garlic just in the essence of time, because cooking takes a long time, but we have a little time, and I want to make sure all of you walk away knowing what we're doing. So we're just going to take that, we're going to blend. And you're going to notice you could do this by hand, you could do it with a masher. It's just easier in what we would call a food processor. And we're going to just take a little bit of fresh lemon, and fresh lemon, lots of nutrients, lots of vitamins, very good for you. We're going to add a little bit of that. And now is when I'm going to add my pinch of black pepper and my pinch of salt. And the secret ingredient today is something that some of you may or may not know. And it's called a chipotle and adobo. And chipotle is actually a smoked jalapeno. So the same way certain ethnic groups in the world are really good at smoking fish or salmon, we in the southern part of the Americas, chipotle is a smoked jalapeno. So you can buy it in a can, very inexpensive, but if you buy it in a can, you want to decant it into a jar. And then you could also buy it in a jar. Walter and I teach at the Santa Fe School of Cooking, so I buy from them. And it's a, Walter, you want to just zoom in on this, chef, and let people see? It's a smoked jalapeno, and it's kind of ground up. It's got lots and lots and lots of flavor. And that is what we're going to put into this bean dip. It's going to give it flavor and also nutrients. Chili's chock full of nutrients. And you always want to have some clean spoons so that you can taste. Because if you've watched any of the chef shows, what do all the judges on the chef show say? Did you taste it? So when you cook, you're the chef. It's up to you to make those flavors for your family. So we're just going to do a little, you have a nice bean paste here. Lovely. I'm going to add a little bit more garlic, and I like chili. Walter does not. His taste is very mild. And I know a lot of the Pueblos out there like spicy, so this would be a good dish. You can adjust it however you would like. And I'm just going to add a little bit more garlic, so you can adjust to your own flavor profile. So we're just going to let that run. And then I want you to take a look at our platter, because once Walter does the no-fry fry bread, we are going to talk a little bit as we end today about the vegetables that we have on this beautiful platter that we can eat this bean paste with. Look at that. So let me grind this. And that is it. It's so easy to do. We now have basically a Native American hummus, and hummus is originating in the Middle East, but look at that. We've got pinto beans with flavor, and this you can use in a lot of different ways. Spread it on your sandwich, right? Instead of mayonnaise, you can put it on your toast in the morning instead of butter. You can eat it with our no-fry fry bread or with delicious vegetables. It's a great snack. It's great when you're watching TV instead of reaching for those unhealthy snacks. You can just do this. And I'm going to take a little bit of local New Mexico chili, just sprinkle that on. Ooh, it's so good. And look at that. That's amazing. And we have all these amazing vegetables. We have cucumbers, celery, carrots. This is a watermelon radish. This is a purple daikon radish. Different colors of carrots, and then even some lettuce romaine leaves. which would be great. These are all really, really healthy snacks. And a lot of these vegetables are powerful antioxidants. They protect your cells, your body's cells. They're rich in B vitamins and folate, rich in vitamin C, which is very, very, very important. They boost your immune system, and any kind of vegetable has fiber, which is really good for the body because then the food goes in and the food comes out. So we're going to leave this here. Chef Walter made some no-fry fried red dough. He's going to show you how to roll that out, grill it in a cast iron pan or on a grill that we have. We're going to change places. I'm going to film him, and then we'll open it up to some question and answers. All right, Chef. So Chef Walter's coming in now. There he is.
Okay. I want to introduce myself. My name is Walter Whitewater. I'm Dene. I'm originally from a place called Pinon, Arizona. Anyway, my clan is the chief is small, Tohan Basasin, Kabata Sachi, for the chief national. Yat Eho. I know a lot of my native family back on the reservation in Arizona and throughout the Four Corners. Some are familiar with this type of a bread that I'm going to be doing. It's going to be two type of a dough that I did earlier, and I did some. There's a white and blue, and so this is something that I usually add instead of using crackers. This is what I use that Chef Lowe's talked about earlier, and it's going to be for dipping. So just another way I'm presenting our food. And I guess the word is in some places that we go and we serve in a high-end restaurant, some places like that, or gathering. And that's the place that I use. And here it is. I'm going to show you.
Let's roll it out, Chef. Let's show them how to roll it out. So you want to do the blue corn first?
Yeah. So as I go, I'm still learning, and I'm not going to say I'm the expert on this, And so a little as I usually take a pinch. It just depends on your burner, Sometimes if you're doing an outside fire, it's different. You can make your bread a little bigger and all that. So what I usually put some little bit of dough, flour, and on my dough here, and so I roll it out.
So
yeah,
I know. A lot of the grandmas, we had to ask permission, right? We had to ask permission.
I'm the guy that was slapped.
Some of you that are expert fry bread makers, you may not have to roll out the dough. So
this is just another way of doing it. Make sure your flame is slow. And then in other words is I'm going to do another one to put it in the.
So that's an open flame. This is a grill that we get from the Santa Fe School of Cooking. They just call it a Santa Fe grill, and you can grill chilies on it, but you could use a rack that you dry dry cookies on, like a baking rack. And you're going to notice that the bread's going to start to puff just like as if it were frying. So, and some of you may know this, especially some of our people in the Pueblo communities, just a cast iron pan. You might call this, or even on Navajo Nation, tortilla bread, right?
Some people, they love to put oil on it. I always try to oil it earlier, and then that's how it's going to end up. Just put it on and just let it do its thing here. And there's you can however you want to make it. You can put some herbs in your flour. Sometimes I do that. Dip different type of herbs and then I make it into a dough and let it rise. And it depends on the baking powder that you use, and makes it more puffier. And then working with the blue corn is always a little different, I noticed. So you have to add a little bit more on your baking powder. Like let's say you're doing
But here you can see it starting to puff, right?
mhm.
So you want it just like as if it were frying. Look at that beautiful tortilla.
So I did it last on both of them, but I should have done it but the other way, but I didn't do it. And so it's how you work with it and just to put your love into it. And that's where the healing takes part. And there's songs that goes with this. And a lot of people I'm always making fun of. Here it goes, it starts puffing there. It goes up and down. So take it down a little bit more.
Beautiful bread. So Chef Walter's just going to finish that bread. He has some in the basket, and let's take those baskets out and show you guys what that looks like. And then, oh, yummy. He's going to cut that up into pieces, and then that's what he's going to use to dip into that delicious hummus along with those amazing vegetables. So let's come in and take a little look here at the beautiful,
invention here. And
look at that blue corn, no fry bread.
There's a difference here.
So one is in the cast iron and one is on the open flame. We really like the open flame, but maybe all of you may not be able to do that. But a lot of the grandmas do that outside. And then there's our amazing hummus. It does look like pita bread. It actually is a close cousin. It's a Native American cousin to the pita bread. So you can even slice it and put some of that delicious hummus on the inside. And beautiful. And then here is the other version. So this is just with all-purpose flour. Ooh, look at that.
See the difference here, the puff?
Yeah, blue corn's a little heavier. See that blue? And then there's the all-purpose. So you can make it both ways. And let's just cut that open, cut it into pieces, Chef Walter. And beautiful.
Yes, okay.
And then we'll open it up to some questions. I have these amazing roots, and these are from the summer. But a lot of the root vegetables, especially the radishes, etc., they last for months. And so this is a really good way to extend. You can buy these or grow these, and those are the delicious roots. And we just keep them in cold storage. Here's Walter's amazing bread. And we have made literally in less than 10 minutes each for Chef Walter and myself, a beautiful no fry bread with blue corn and a hummus dip with some vegetables, any kind of vegetables that you have. I think Chef Walter's going to try one on camera. And
no, I just wanted to show you what you can do with your food. You know, just something that you come over and then right.
So he's making his lunch, right? All of you are probably getting hungry, but that is, look at that, amazing.
This is
bread,
the watermelon radish that Lois talked about.
Yeah.
And so there's all sorts of ways that you can do. And there's something that you can dip in like this, and then how about that?
Okay.
I just wanted to show you what you can do with your food.
Yummy.
And we have a beautiful recipe, and
we're sharing, yes.
So no.
Beautiful.
No one says that you can't do this, you're doing it wrong, or however it is. It's how you do it and how you prepare it.
And have fun, right?
Yeah. And there's the fried bread song that goes with this, and that we call, because we're using without the oil. We're talking about health and keeping our heart strong and all that. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and we'll open it up to any questions.
We do have a question just in. So it says, are you able to maybe talk about some recipes with canned salmon? Do you guys have any ideas for that?
So So you could make sort of a spread with canned salmon. We'd have to experiment. I know that is also part of the food distribution program on Indian reservations, or FDPIR. We would have to test a little, or you could hand do it. You could add some of these wonderful vegetables. I know we've added carrots and celery. We like to add pickles. We'd have to come up with a heart-healthy alternative to the mayonnaise, but that's something that we could definitely work on, right?
Something that you can do, what we're saying here.
Good for salmon.
Yeah, I'm just for this too. Yeah, you can do anything, you know. Like I said, no one says you can't.
Exactly.
That's why that we create new things with our own food. What our kids love, you know, instead of saying, "Ooh, what are you eating?" Hey,
yeah,
make it yummy.
We would experiment a little with the canned salmon to make something that would taste good. But I know you could do either a spread, or maybe we could add some of the salmon to the beans that we did, right?
Yeah.
So we'd have to play around a little.
So there's another question about, people want to know where you can buy that grill that you were using, Chef, on the stovetop.
Okay, the grill. I know the grill. We love this grill. So the grill, ours are old. They last forever. So it comes with these wooden handles, and after we've used it over the open flame for years,
So
the
this
handle
is what happens later.
it
but
burns off.
It comes with the handle and all that. So
But we
these are
get it
old.
at the Santa Fe School of Cooking in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and they last forever. They last forever.
Oh, those are great. Maybe you guys could just say some encouraging words about healthy food can taste good. I mean, some people might think that that's not true, but you've showed us some great recipes today, but any other encouraging words about that philosophy?
Yeah, so you want to start slowly. Start with one thing. If you kind of just take away all those favorite foods that maybe you're used to, you want to start adding one. So add a carrot, make the bean hummus, use that instead of mayonnaise on your sandwich. Try it on a piece of bread instead of eating those cookies while you're watching TV. And what happens over time is the body begins to change and your palate changes. If you're not used to sugar, something that's not very sweet, or a perfect apple tastes very, very sweet. But if you're used to sugary food products, then you're going to have to go down and increment, right? Or if you're used to high fat products or processed products. So start slow, come up with alternatives. I think one of my favorite things, even just to eat your vegetables, I love it with the beans. And so make that's your snack. Make this, start slow. Which is your favorite of the vegetables? Walter, the radishes?
I love the radishes because it has that little spike, kind of like there's a spike in there and a chili flavor, makes it a little hot. And it goes well with your the pinto. It doesn't always have to be pinto. It can be any type of beans, black beans, all these beans or kidney. You can do with that. No one says it has to be pinto.
No.
So
yeah, we do have another question in, if you guys are ready for another question.
Sure.
Lorraine is asking, how is blue corn dough made?
So the blue corn dough is the same as a regular fried bread dough. The only thing we do is we add the corn, and the ratio is, let me look at the recipe, and we will give this, and you'll be able to upload it, 1 cup of blue corn to 4 cups of flour.
So I have a question, if you guys are willing to answer it. At night, I always, go for like the sweet stuff. I don't know if you have a quick, healthy option at night if you have a bit of a sweet tooth.
So that's really good. We do a very traditional blue corn mush, and then we take boiled berries, just frozen berries, which we've added fresh apple to, and we mix them together like a pudding or a parfait. And that's a really good snack at night that satisfies, very filling, very low in calories. It has no fat, no saturated fats, so it's just very, very good for you.
Awesome. Well, Chef, thank you so much. This was a really awesome demonstration. I really, really enjoyed it. We appreciate your time. It was fantastic. I'm definitely trying these recipes. They look amazing.
Thank you for having us.
You are very welcome. We just want to slowly wrap things up this afternoon. A big thank you again to all of our presenters and guests today for sharing all of their great information and knowledge with us, of course. And this is why we are here today, to gain knowledge on how to live our lives free of cardiovascular disease and stroke. So remember, 80% of cardiovascular disease and stroke can be prevented. And we have all learned how to prevent that today. Living a healthy lifestyle, of course, is about balance. You won't always be able to eat perfectly proportioned low-calorie dinners or go to the gym and get a full 8 hours of sleep, but you can make each day just little and better, healthier choices. It's up to you to take your health into your own hands and truly, truly love your heart. So to close our event today, I want to introduce Cheryl Wilkinson as the new Community Impact Director for New Mexico with the American Heart Association. Cheryl.
Hi, good afternoon. Oh, there you are. Here, just that. Well, first of all, thank you everyone for joining us today. It was, I hope you got a lot of information and find something that was meaningful to you. I would love it if each one and every one of you would go back and take what you learned today and share it with 5 women that you care about. We really want to help each other take care of their hearts, and on this very special day, Go Red for Women, really raise awareness on the health and wellness. So as Royal said, I am the new Community Impact Director for the New Mexico. I'm joined today also with my colleague in Oklahoma, Chantel, and we are here just to help out and provide any resources and support that you need to have a healthy and well life. So thank you to all of the presenters. We will be sharing all the resources that you heard about today, contact information, recipes. The presentation will be recorded as well as PowerPoint. So all of that great information will be available to you. Also, we'll be sending out an evaluation that we would really want your input and feedback on how and what you thought of today's and how we can make it better. As you heard at the beginning, this is our 9th annual. So next year is our very special 10th anniversary. We are planning on having it, and we're planning on having it in person. So we hope that you will all be able to join us in person, where we can gather together to help each other be healthy and strong in ourselves and in our communities and our families. So again, thank you very, very much. I hope you have a wonderful, healthy Go Red Day and a Heart Healthy Month, and we will see you next year. Thank you.